Let's talk about JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the RPG. JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is my favorite anime series. It tells the story of the Joestar family as they fight to defeat supernatural evils in the form of vampires, serial killers, mafiosos, gay priests, and the President of the United States. It's a series which seamlessly blends the absurd, the comedic, and the dramatic into one giant orgy of action and tactics. Not only is it action-packed and emotional, but also has some excellent characterization. The main characters in the series aren't just stereotypical stone-faced anime badasses. They're men who are not afraid to express their feelings, whether it be seen as Johnny Joestar growing to become a friendlier and more confident person with the help of his best friend Gyro Zeppeli, or Jotaro struggling to express how much he cares about his estranged daughter Jolene. My love for this series is why I'm taking the time to review a bunch of JoJo games in order, starting with the 1993 Super Famicom RPG, simply titled JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Now, before we get started, I have a little disclaimer. This is a Super Nintendo game. I'm not the biggest fan of games made in the 8 and 16-bit era. It's not because I think there's anything wrong with them, I just never played that many. This means I'm about as qualified to review Super Nintendo games as Anthony Fantano is to review progressive metal albums. I'll never forgive that man for giving Language by the Contortionist a Golden Shower Award, but I digress. At its most basic, this is simply an RPG which attempts to retell the story of Part 3 Stardust Crusaders. Notice my use of the word attempts. I use this word because the story plays out like an 8-year-old was forced to read the entirety of Stardust Crusaders and recount what happened in a slapdash book report. This game is terrible. Don't play it. Why? Well, for starters, the control is absolute trash. The music is on an infuriating loop. The combat system just exists for the sake of pushing the story forward, and there are lots of fights where you're scripted to just smack the enemy until he runs away, or run away yourself. Listing out the mechanical shortcomings of this game is easy enough, but what's difficult is conveying just how much the game gently expels a hot brown loaf atop the source material. For starters, this game's portrayal of Stardust Crusaders events is about as faithful to the source material as Mel Gibson's portrayal of the Scottish War for Independence in the 14th century. In other words, not very. The stand battles are out of order and in the wrong settings. I wouldn't mind this too much if the combat system didn't make every battle seem like a competition to see who's stronger instead of the classic tactics-based JoJo fight that we know and love today. I get that it's nearly impossible to have a game of that era portray something as nuanced and strategic as the average stand battle, but they could have made the combat a lot deeper than just spamming the same small handful of commands. Even worse is the fact that this is what Jotaro's iconic Ora Ora sounds like. This is the highlight of the entire game. That's the most satisfying thing in JoJo, seeing Jotaro punch the shit out of a guy, and just see him duck down and be upset. Another thing is the absolutely hilarious way the main villain Dio interacts with the party. In the manga and anime, he doesn't want to be found because he knows he's not strong enough to be fought yet. It's the main reason why he sends all those stand users to kill the Crusaders in the first place. In the game, however, he just straight up tells everyone where he is and that they should come get him. All of these issues with Jotaro, Dio, and these other characters are emblematic of a much bigger problem with the game. The characters are only cardboard cutout versions of their manga and anime counterparts. Again, I know this is a Super Famicom game, but this is the same system that had games with deep and complex characters like Chrono Trigger and Final Fantasy VI. They could have easily done more with the source material. Needless to say, the dialogue is also awful to a hilarious degree as well. Of course, censorship of games at this time was fairly rampant because Nintendo pretty much dominated a huge chunk of the gaming industry, which came at the cost of sacrificing what made JoJo so special. You won't see a baby being force-fed his own shit. You won't see a dog being brutally kicked to death by a vampire named after everyone's favorite 90s rapper. You won't see Jotaro respecting women in his own, unique way.
Shut up! You're freaking annoying!
And you certainly won't see the true main character, Polnareff, getting attacked while he's on the toilet, or being forced to lick a toilet, or being scared by animals that happen to be inside of toilets. That man just doesn't have the best luck around toilets. Insert Elvis joke here. This essentially takes out what makes JoJo's Bizarre Adventure so special. It's just not bizarre. They could have had their own take on strange events, but the weirdest thing in here is that you can make the characters use the toilet to take a piss. I mean, that's fair enough though. This game was made at the height of Araki's toilet fetish. Here's my favorite piece of dialogue in the entire game. I think it perfectly exemplifies just how neutered everything is. In conclusion, this game just isn't even worth the hassle of downloading the ROM hack to get the English translation working. This was definitely a disappointment, but hopefully the next JoJo game I'm reviewing will be better. The 1998 JoJo fighting game for the PlayStation 1. Thanks for watching, and remember to like, subscribe, aura that notification bell, and leave a comment or a death threat under the video. Luckily, I highly doubt anyone watching will have childhood memories of this game, considering it was only in Japanese until recently. But simple logic like that has never stopped people from threatening to turn a content creator's skin into a designer wallet. Alright, I hope this anime game review was kawaii enough for you. CreamyChan out.